Hey everybody, Scout Crafty here again. Today we have a nice tool restoration, well, a fix more or less, and it comes from all the way from Scotland. Now, for those of you who don't know where Scotland is, it's part of the United Kingdom. It's the upper 1/3 of the island is Scotland, and Harry Kennedy, a good friend of the show for a long time, has been getting into tool restorations, and he's having a great time. One of two people I'm going to be discussing today who's changed their lives. They're really having a great time doing tool restorations, as we all do. It's kind of an addicting hobby, as you know. And so Harry sent this wrench. He got a Billings Model G. Nice little wrench, but and you know how I like auto wrenches, but he has a problem. He couldn't get out the pin. You know, that pin is a problem on all these auto. That's the only thing that makes these wrenches a little bit more difficult to restore. But he sent it to me all the way from Scotland, and he says, you know, maybe I can, because that's what we do here. So let's go check it out. Here is the wrench in question, and you could see it is a nice wrench. And there it is, a Model G Billings. You don't see too many of these in Scotland, and it's nice and straight. It's a good wrench, perfect to have some fun with. The problem is that dreaded pin, and he says he was afraid he was going to snap it or whatever. So let's see what we can do. Now, a lot of times these are threaded in one of two places. They're either threaded up here or they're threaded down here. The pin runs through the thumb wheel, and most likely threaded down here. What we're going to do is we're going to heat up down here, put some heat here, get this nice and hot, and then we'll give it an attempt of unscrewing it and see what happens there. We might have to resort to drilling. Who knows? We'll get now. Harry's no novice with tools. He understands that this was starting to get a little bit opened up, and he's like, you know what? I'm going to stop before. And he's right. You don't want to strip it out. But the first thing you want to do is you want to make sure that you get the closest bit that you can. This is why it's always good to have extra bit sets. This is a 1/4 inch bit. It's a little bit thicker, and because it's widened a little bit there. And then I put it on this extension. You know, it's an Irwin extension. And this way, because of the auto wrench has this little, you know, the handle here, the arm, that can be a problem as far as getting a screwdriver in there. But this one fits nice and snug in here, and then we put a ratchet handle on top with a socket. I'll give us extra leverage, but again, we're not going to do any torquing until we heat this up. Okay, good news for Harry. It is definitely frozen. There's no way that you could torque it out. It's just going to spin out, so we're going to have to drill that out. So we're going to mount it in the drill press. And remember, the pin runs all the way through, so we're going to drill it up to here and then maybe take a wafer wheel and cut it from that side. So let's get the drill started. You can see we have it mounted into the vise. We're starting to draw it out. We have it backed up all the way, but still, the problem is with these is that the chuck is very wide, and you can't get a straight drill in here unless you have a long drill bit. And this we thank Jeff and Dar. Remember the unboxing I did a while ago? Jeff sent me these. He was a machinist, and this is what's saving this job. So let's drill this out a little more. Okay, you see we're getting pretty deep in the hole, but you don't know how far to go. So here's an old trick. You take a nail or a piece of wire or anything, and you stick it into the hole that you're drilling, like this, and then you run your finger up next to it, like that, up to the end. And then when you pull it out, that's how deep you've drilled. So you can see we still have another about 1/8 of an inch to go before we're clear of this area here. You see? Just like that. And about another 1/8 of an inch. Okay, now if you notice, we drilled in deep enough where, here, I'm putting that pin in here. When I pull it out, you can see it's past this little slit here. Now we're going to cut. We have to use now you could use a wafer wheel. You can use whatever you have to, a hacksaw. We're going to have to cut down and get that wheel out of here so we can remove this piece, and then I'm going to cut through it now with a hacksaw. Okay, now we cut through that side. You see there? Now that's just enough room that we can push this to all the way that way, make enough room for the blade to cut through that. That's only a hollow section now. We'll cut through that, and then this will pop right off, and then we can take that piece off. Okay, here's everything apart. There's the pin still in there. Now this should, yeah, this will push right out, you see, because it that pushes right out. And you can see we'll make a new pin. This is in perfect shape. We didn't touch the sides of that. Now, with this part here, the slide, you could see when we cut down there, what a nice job. But you see that little circle there? That's where, that's in there. You ain't getting that out. But it's okay because we didn't drill very wide. So we're going to drill, tap, make a new pin. And we'll make a little recess hole there for the pin that it could settle in there. And everything looks good. So let's get working. Okay, we drilled out the hole that was here. You know, you see that? How nice and clean that hole is now? And look what happens. Halfway through the drilling, the whole sleeve of the pin came out of that hole. So we didn't even touch the outside edge. And like I said, you could, if you look real close, you could see that little circle at the bottom of the hole. So we'll just run a drill a small hole in there, and then make a pin and thread it up here. Now, obviously, one of the problems you have here is you could see somebody used this as a hammer, which is very common years ago, these auto wrenches, and put a little split in the top. But that's okay. It won't really affect the performance, but because we'll clean it up, see what we can do. Here we are. We drilled out. Now, if you look, the hole lines up perfectly. We drilled it out. And if you look real close, you can see the threads, because I did a drill bit that was just smaller than there. That they had it threaded in here. I prefer the threads in the top. It just makes it easier. But we're going to make a nice pin here, a polished pin. And first, we're going to thread this top, make the pin, and then we'll get to cleaning up the wrench. Yeah, we all got one of these, a box of all different bolts. This comes from my great-grandfather to my grandfather, my father to me. I just made a different box. It was always in a cigar box, but it was falling apart. Anyway, this looks like a perfect candidate for our job. Now, the beauty of using a bolt is it's already almost done. Now, all we have to do, remember, we're going to thread this section, so we'll cut this section here, cut this off here. We'll cut the head off the bolt. This will fit in the pocket down there, and then we'll turn this down to the diameter of this, which is about 1/4 inch, a little bit over 1/4 inch, but we'll turn it down and get a nice spin fit. And how nice is that? You know, it's always satisfying when you make a new pin. Now, again, we're going to trim off the bottom, trim off here to make it fit, but that's the pin right there, and then we'll put a slot in it so that the screw... But here's what's satisfying. I made this a few thousandths over the old pin to take up for the wear, because there was a wear in there, you know, from years, but now, look at that. That's what's always so satisfying, that you can make up for, you know, wear with the new pin and things like that, and make it almost better than if you would have just cleaned the old pin. Okay, success. We have the pin in place. Works great. Now we just have to do a little bit of a cleanup, and we'll put a little bit of a shim washer in there so that it takes off from when we had to cut it. You always have to do that whenever you cut a pin out, but now you can always take it apart to service it or whatever you have to do, change parts or whatever. This is a really nice design, these screw-in pins like this, screwed in. Okay, back from lunch. Now we have it operating good. Now we just got to do a little cleanup, but you know, the Scots, people from Scotland, are known basically for kilts, a type of clothing, and bagpipes. And funny that both of those weren't invented in Scotland. But one thing that was invented in Scotland was the pneumatic tire. Who knew that, huh? Okay, let's get to cleaning this up. I know Harry asked if we could just fix it, but you know something? You know, I got a lot of the equipment. Harry just bought a belt sander and everything. He's getting ready, and I'll send him another wrench that he could fix up. But let's see, while it's here in the States, let's see if we can't send it back a little nicer than you know, than it looks now. This is what patina is. Don't kid yourself and think that's all patina under here. You know, you say, oh, that's patina. No, it's rust and tarnish. Okay, it's reassembly time. Now you know my favorite part. Remember what this wrench looked like before we started. And we're calling this wrench done. I asked Harry if he likes, how's he like his wrenches? And I think he was saying a little bit of polish. Now, you notice that crack when you buff it out, it don't look so bad. It's just a little bit. And took it out to a nice polish, you could see here. And just a beauty. Now, all this here, this is smooth. And Harry is going to love this when he feels it. But here's the best part. You ready? Look at that. This is so smooth. I mean, that's just the way it's supposed to work. And I put that little spacer in there. It's in the top. You see it in there? Very small, but there's no play. And let's try the wrench out, see how it works. Okay, now I like to look at the size that you can open this wrench to, you know. But I like to use the larger nut, the wrench tester for these auto wrenches. We're going to snug it up here, get it nice and snug in the bottom and the base. And then, yeah, look at that. What a beautiful wrench, right? Still works the same way it did 100 years ago. Just a smooth wrench, glass smooth like this. And I think Harry's really going to enjoy this one. Did the base real nice. And this is polished in here, but that's the original forging marks. And it's just a nice wrench. So Harry, I'll try and get that wrench in the mail tomorrow. And I hope you get many years of good use out of it. And you're our representative from Scotland. And one other thing, remember I told you in the beginning of the video that I said there's two people that has been changed by collecting tools. Well, another friend of mine by the name of John Hazen. I'm going to put his link in the description. And John has been, remember I told you if you just start restoring one tool a week or one tool a month, by the end of the year you'll have a pretty nice collection. Well, John started, I guess, a little over a year ago, and you got to see the collection he has and what he's done. So it's a real short video. Check it out. And he has my taste, and you know, we have the same taste in tools. But go check out John's video. And thanks very much for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed this one. Take care now. Bye-bye.